Hello and welcome to the Birth Queen podcast. I'm so happy to have Bruce McIntyre with us today. The third. I can't leave that out. You know, my child
Mm-hmm.
is a Roman numeral, so I understand her. He's a
Gotta
photo. He
respect
got
it.
to be. Um
Mm-hmm.
put some respect on my name. So since we started with respecting the three, who is Bruce? Can you tell the audience, how do you identify and answer that question? It seems like an easy one, but it's not. It's interesting to hear different people answer the question.
Oh, definitely. So Bruce McIntyre III is an artist, an educator, a father, a loving father, a maternal health advocate, philanthropist. I said educator, community organizer,
Mm-hmm.
civil and human rights activist. Oh, and I'm also the
Amazing.
founder of the
So
Save
just
Rose Foundation.
just a couple crowns. Just a couple. Just a couple.
A few.
Um uh, I know. So hello audience, have the privilege of knowing Bruce for a while. So I've been privileged to the intricacies that I feel like most people don't know about you. We're highlighted, of course, like your story with Amber, but what was your journey like? I know you have like a whole musical and artistry, that's a piece of you. So I would love for you to kind of share that piece to you, because there's more than, your journey within this tragedy and crisis. And not only that it's negative, but there are other pieces to you. And I want to use this time and space to also highlight those pieces.
Oh, well, I truly appreciate it. But I started into the music journey very young. I was like, I've been listening to hip hop all my life. And my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother would put me on to like old classics like Minnie Riperton and Al Green and just all these amazing artists. And so I was really big into sampling music. And I
Mm.
started rapping and producing when I was 11 years old. Is when I first started. I started taking it serious when I was about 13, 14. Wrote for a few people, produced for a few people. But that was a joy of mine growing up, and still to this day, it's still a joy of mine. I still love working with people, meeting new people, hearing their artistry and hearing what they have to bring to the table, and seeing how I can collaborate and how I can, bring them further into the next level.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Um, I love that. I feel like, as a fellow artist, oh, wait, I have to tell this funny story. I think I met someone. So I was like introduced to someone and I didn't know who they were, but I'm like, oh, I knew they knew these artists. And I was like, oh, well, I felt comfortable. And they're like, with those people? I was like, well, they're my people. Like, artists are my people. So I
Hmm.
love like vibing with people that color outside of the lines. I actually just read a story to
Exactly.
Baldwin last night about coloring outside of the lines. And I certainly know we have that in common, which is why I think we get along so well. But I want to kind of start backwards. Where are you now in your journey with Save a Rose Foundation and your work? I know you're trying to working on open a birth center in the Bronx, and I just want to share like the good that's come out of the pain, and let's highlight that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're still currently working on opening a freestanding midwifery-led birthing center, which has been a process. We have to run through a lot of stipulations and policies, and there's just so it's a mess when it comes to policy and trying to um, operate and own something as a black and brown owner. But we're still working on it, still very hopeful. But in the meantime, we do have a clinical care space that we plan on opening here in July, coming very soon. So I'm very excited about that. With Mila Flores
Yay!
and
In the
Dr.
Bronx.
Carla Williams, yes, in the Bronx, where we can provide
Amazing.
clinical care and detection of fibroids and all those good things, to give back to the community and help out the community until we can obtain a freestanding midwifery ran birthing center that's actually ran by midwives. um, I've partnered with Myla Flores on the womb bus, on the womb bus efforts, where we offer access to midwives, doulas, physicians of color, mental health services, dance, wellness, movement, um, reproductive health education, um, and right now, I'm also doing a lot of traveling for my work, for whether it's, trying to influence policy change, whether it's for the screening of the film Aftershock, which is also doing amazing. Aftershock just won a Peabody Award a couple weeks ago, so we're very thrilled about that. Continuing to push that
Yes,
needle
but you came
forward.
to Oakland without me.
Oh, but
I said I'm
Oakland
gonna give
showed me
you
so
grief.
much love. Oakland showed me so much love too, and I told them that was my favorite city, and everybody went crazy for me. So Oakland showed nothing but love. But and it feels amazing also to be recognized by the city of Oakland, and to receive awards and all of these good things from all these different cities that I've never really been to, but knowing that we're influencing change in these different places
Yeah,
just feels full circle.
I know. I have, you see my arms like goosebumps.
Yeah, me
It's,
too.
oh, that was like, that one hit. I love that, that this is all happening for you. I think it's such a, you know, it's hard to find the words to celebrate, you and the change that's happening after such a major loss. And I'm sure it's equally as probably complex for you as well. But I want to share the day I put together my connection to Amber, and then I want you to tell her story. But I remember you guys, weren't you at Sundance?
Mhm,
And you DM'd me and you were like, now I know why your
mhm,
voice sounded familiar. I'm gonna start crying. Whew. And you're like, it's because Amber took your mirror classes while she was pregnant.
mhm,
And I remember I don't think I was having a great night that night. And I like felt her. And the timing of all this, like when do we lose Amber? What
April
date?
2020, April 21st, 2020.
So I was pregnant with Baldwin and I felt super connected to spirit because right after him, we lost George Floyd. And
Mhm,
then there was this interesting like advocacy role I kind of got pulled into to speak about race and mirror use my face and Instagram posts to kind of break up their feed, and all these people were calling me. And then I had this vision to come black birth stories in September. And then fast
mhm,
forward March 8th, I founded Birth Queen. And then we met within like a month. I think we were on that first call about advocacy and birth workers. And I remember in that moment being like, I felt moved. And I do believe that she's a part of why Birth Queen exists and why I have the strength some days to do this. And I don't believe in accidents. So I know, some people believe in that stuff and others don't, but I knew I was called to this.
mhm,
Um, and I do feel she's moving through me. And if anything, I am doing it for her and Shamani and everybody else because we do need to know, her story. And I had the privilege of talking to Amari before you, but I also want to highlight you, Bruce, like, and like, how are you? Because I feel like you spend so much time speaking about losing her and the battle of that process, but like, how are you doing? Because you've been through a lot, not just in
mhm.
grief, but like bullshit. So I want to give you time to also share that piece.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and I truly appreciate you. And yeah, it was definitely a call to action. It's all hands on deck at this point. It's a state of emergency that we're in for Black and Brown women. Um, but me, I'm hanging in there. Some days are tough, but overall, I'm feeling powerful. Um, I feel like Amber's name was not in vain. Amber is a martyr for change.
Mhm.
And, you know, her energy is everywhere. I feel her energy every day. You know, the days that I don't want to get up and do anything,
Mhm.
I find that extra strength, or I muster up that strength, or I think about times that I had with Amber, those moments that we shared, or even just things that she said to me
Yeah.
that stuck with me. And, you know, that motivates me to get up and do what I got to do. And to have my son Elias by her is truly an honor. You know, that's her, that's a piece of her, and that's her legacy. I feel good that I was able to not allow myself to sink into depression,
Mhm.
because I know when that stuff happens, I lost my brother to suicide, and for a while I was stagnant, and I was thinking to myself, I
Mhm.
can't be stagnant in these moments. You know, I'm a father. I'm taking care of my newborn child, and I'm also being there and showing support for Amber's family and Amber's mother. So I have to lead by strength and lead by example. Um, and I used to suffer with like really strong like depression and anxiety, and Amber was the one who used to get me through that. So just when I'm feeling low in those
Yeah.
moments, I think about the things that she used to say to me, and yeah, like I mentioned, it just motivates me to keep going. But to see just how much has come out of her name, and just by advocating and telling her story and humanizing her as a person, and to speak
Yeah.
on her accolades and what she was going to achieve. It brings up a lot. But I think it's really powerful to honor her legacy in this way. So just to see her name being lifted, seeing her name everywhere, and that these discussions are being had. um I feel like she's doing her job on the other end to help mothers and to help families.
I love that. How Because I remember when I hosted the panel with you, how do you feel to have to retell the story over and over? Like
Mm.
I am always kind of on edge. Like you guys are just always on my heart when I have to see you or think about you retelling the story, because I feel like we can, as an audience, may get desensitized to the fact that like this is real for you and like you have
Mhm.
to relive it as you retell it. So how do you manage that? Like protect yourself?
I definitely meditate with myself. I sit with myself a lot. I prep my body because, yeah, it is a lot to have to retell the story over and over and over again. But starting out, I set myself out on a mission, and which is to get her story out there to whoever's willing
Yeah.
to listen. And
Mm-hmm.
I found myself in front of hundreds of reporters speaking every day, and it just got easier speaking about it every day, but having to relive those steps and having to rethink and think of those moments and those memories. Yeah, it's tough, but it needs to be done. Her story needs to be told. Uh, People need to understand what happened to her. And if I'm not telling that story, then her legacy is starts to fade or disappear, and that's not what I want. Um,
Yeah.
but I know I also know that telling her story is going to save lives, no matter if it's one life, two life, 50 lives. It's going to save
Yeah.
somebody's life if I continue to tell her story.
And as far as like how you're managing your grief, like I think it's important as a man and
Mhm.
certainly as a black man to just like share with other men like how to do that. Like there's no
Oh,
manual
definitely.
for it. So like being a single dad, that's one thing, but to I feel like the only healthy way to get through your grief is to process and to
Mhm.
feel. And there's not, I don't believe society's like walking around like, hello, grieving black man, how can I support you? So, like,
Yeah.
how do you navigate that for yourself to stay,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
level?
I find myself speaking to a lot of fathers who are in my position. I felt like it's been easier to speak to people who understand what I've gone through because even like back when it first happened, speaking to friends, it wasn't working, um, because they weren't feeling what I was feeling. So I found a community, or
Yeah.
even helped create the community. Um, Started having safe spaces with men, allowing them to, let their walls down and allowing themselves to be vulnerable. I open myself up and I allow myself to be vulnerable. And we just have heart to heart conversations and just hearing how other people are
Mhm.
coping, or hearing how they may be feeling one day and feeling another day, and just listening to them, and a lot of those feelings surface. And, I learn a lot from people who are grieving what I'm, through the same thing that I'm going through, um, and how they're managing and they're coping. And that, that really settles me because I don't feel alone. Um, and I also
Mhm.
allow myself to feel in any space, no matter where I'm at. I allow myself to feel. If I need to cry, I'm gonna let myself cry. If I need to scream, I'm gonna scream. Like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to get that out, because I don't want to compress my feelings, and that's what we see often in these Black and brown communities, is where we're left to, instead of actually get rehabilitation, we're having our feelings compressed, instead of addressing the issue. So we're laying it all
Yeah.
on the table, addressing our issues, and just allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, because there's a lot of power within that vulnerability.
Oof. But I gotta admit, even as a sensitive Pisces and an artist, sometimes it's hard to like swim in those feelings that aren't the happy ones, and give yourself permission to feel, because there is this sense of like, I need to be strong or push through. And
Mhm.
I really want to honor you for having the strength to do that for yourself, but also share that with the rest of us, because we do need that not even reminder, but that lesson that it
Mhm.
is important and okay and more healthy to
Mhm.
process all of your feelings.
Exactly.
Um, if you had like nuggets of advice for a father that finds himself in your position, or the community supporting a father in your position, what would that be? Like, what has been the most helpful to you?
The most helpful to me has been recreating who I am and who I want to represent
Mm,
myself at in the world. Um, Started after Amber's passing. A piece of me died with her, also, of course. And so I started to live life through the artistic lens, and get into old things that I may have put off to the side, like getting back into music.
hmm.
I haven't skateboarded since I was 14. I picked up skateboarding again. Uh, just finding these little joys that you may have had in your childhood and you may have pushed to the side because you're too busy, or, life is life in, trying to find those pieces of happiness, those things that bring you joy, and, continue in leading with that. I think that's very helpful. And then, for the community, I think for me, it was, the doulas and the midwives in my community. After Amber's passing, the hospital was trying to yet again suppress instead of address my feelings and my issues, and tried to offer me drugs and Xanax and other higher antidepressants. And I'm thinking to myself, how do I take care of my son if I'm incompetent and left, doped up to take care of him? Which is what we see very often in the Black and brown communities. These are perpetuated cycles in the communities. Then you're doped
Right.
up on drugs, you're left incompetent. You have to worry about child protective services knocking on your door and taking your children away. So the midwives and the doulas offered me more of a holistic approach. I found meditations and kriyas and
Hmm.
breathing exercises when I'm feeling stressed and depressed. Different workouts, running, trying to take care of myself and take care of my body, um, has been really helpful to me. So, so you have all that pent up aggression, you're releasing, just releasing as much as you can. Is very helpful, and having members of the community who are listening and tailoring to those needs is also a blessing.
I love that word release, because it makes me, immediately think that her spirit was released. And then it makes me think about Miss Gibson talks about releasing like pregnancy, right? Like there's a release that has to happen of feelings of, we lose people, they're released from this, space and time. And I think so much of our pain is is the stuff we're not releasing, right? Like we're
Mhm.
holding on to um but I don't know. I just was like it hit me like as a very beautiful image, but it's a vulnerable space to be in to release because you're releasing control or a sense of like the idea of being in control when you let go of something. Because even at least like if you're angry or like sad, you kind of know what that is.
Mhm.
But if you let go, you have to trust you're going to then go to the next space and time you need to be, and that unknown is that's super scary.
Exactly.
um
Trust that process.
yeah, so right, so you pretty much mentioned, I asked everybody like what your biggest push moment is, and that's pretty darn obvious. But like as far as what you're giving birth to next, you're in this process of birthing the birth center, but is there anything else you want to share with the community about like what you would like to create next, or what it is you need? Maybe you're like, I'm creating and giving birth to what I need, or what I want. This is what I need. So you can answer
Yeah.
both or either or.
But of course, the opening the birthing center is the biggest thing that's on the goal. That's on the goal list. And
Okay.
but what I do want to continue to create is just a safe space for mothers and fathers. Um, you know, because pregnancy isn't just about the woman. It's about family planning. And, here in the United States, if we've learned anything about the United States and how they treat black and brown folk, throughout the entirety of our time here, they've been trying to separate our families. So,
Mm-hmm.
rebuilding that connection, rebuilding that family foundation for Black and Brown folk, because the CDC announced that Black fathers are the most engaged, whether they live in the household or not. So, just seeing more of that and seeing that stigma being changed around Black and Brown
Yeah.
families. Um, so, wanting to give more to mothers who are in shelters, single mothers who are in shelters, giving more to them, offering more to them, more support, more, doula services, and postpartum services to those mothers, because they need that support. We all need that support. I also have a few things going on that's that's pretty cool that I can't talk on yet, um, but
Okay.
I do see myself getting more into politics and trying to change the narrative on Black and Brown
Yeah.
families, and being able to change the system systemically with inside. So
Yep.
I have something going on that's in the works, but wow, I'll probably hear more information in the next month or so. A few partnerships I have
Okay.
going
Well, you keep
on.
me posted.
Oh, for
You
sure,
come
for
back and
sure,
we can talk about it.
for sure.
Okay. Let me ask you
A
this.
part of
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm also a part of a committee board out of DC called Fund 2 Foundation, and we have a birth equity committee group. So I'm very excited about what's coming up with that. We're looking to bring midwifery courses into HBCU colleges, so we can create that access of
Hmm.
midwives of color. And we're also looking to open a women's health center in Greensboro, North Carolina, also. So very excited for what this committee board is doing.
Amazing. Yay. I love that. As far as like the New York Birth Center, I know it's probably a lot of things, but like, what are the like real barriers? Like, what do we need to do to push it forward?
So what we need is we need our CPM bill passed. Um, our midwifery, is it? certified professional midwives. There we go. Because we need midwives to be
Yes.
fully
So
integrated
that they can
into
practice.
women's healthcare. Exactly. So that
Uh-huh.
they can practice, um, so that they can practice legally here in New York. And, without a birth experience, and um, because we're not looking for this birthing center to be ran by physicians, because we keep seeing this is where we're seeing
Right.
the problems, versus with midwives, we're seeing better birthing outcomes with our midwives. So fully integrating midwives into women's healthcare. We're also trying to get the New York Health Act passed, um, as well as our Grieving Families Act as well, that helps families like mine who suffer from a loss, which we got passed this at the beginning of this year, but Governor Hochul completely vetoed the bill, um, scratched it out, even though we need it. She completely gutted our birthing center bill from what it was supposed to be, so we're continue to having to fight for that, because it still gatekeeps certain people from operating a freestanding birthing center. So really just trying to
Right.
get these things passed in the state of New York.
Okay. So basically they don't want a certified nurse midwife to practice. It's only the like nurse practitioner model.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. And
Unless
then
they're
they're
unless they're being
forcing
led
and a
under a physician.
physician. Ah. So the real thing is you're like, I don't want a physician led. Got it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's always like something. I was talking to someone yesterday about that specifically, and I was excited. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Bruce tomorrow. He's going to give you the exact answer in New York. But that's what gets
Hmm.
nuanced about this, and I feel like it's fair to touch on when I want the audience to know there are solutions. Like we know Black midwives, doulas, and lactation counselors supporting Black and brown birthing people are the solution. Yet and still, there's so much red tape. I mean, even with the Medicaid reimbursement for doulas, people don't realize that the training you go through has to be approved by the state for you to get reimbursed. And so
Exactly.
many of the doula trainings that are culturally competent have not been approved by the state. So that
Exactly.
all those doulas going to, support the Medicaid population cannot receive that reimbursement,
Hmm.
and they don't make it easy. So I literally, you and I have access. Like some days I kind of forget. I was like, oh, did I forget who I was today? I was on the phone with the mayor's office. Like, how do we get these things approved? Because you got all these doulas being trained thinking they're like, oh, I can get reimbursed. No, you can't. Not
Hmm.
if that training hasn't been approved by the state. And
Hmm.
this is the fuckery that it's just like we have people that are the solution, but then can't get paid for the work they're doing, which is really hard work and
Exactly.
very important work. I mean, this is like, like Jesus work. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And
It's
so
not
what we
easy
need is
stuff. And I mean, even
what we need is
go ahead, Bruce.
we need these insurance executives, because we've been speaking to a lot of insurance executives
Yes.
too, and it's amazing to see
Okay. How is
places
that
like Blue
going? Are they
Cross.
receptive?
So some of them are. It just depends on the state. See, and
Okay.
in New Jersey, right next door in New Jersey, the governor is
Yeah.
allowing insurance to cover doulas, and to cover pregnancies, and um, so it's amazing to see places like Blue Cross Blue Shield step up in that way, where they're offering a one set stipend on the delivery or on doula services. So that's what we need to see more of. We need to see these one set stipends
Across the
that
board,
are big
not just Medicaid.
across the board. Yes. Hmm. Hmm.
Amazing. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like, I think we're getting, to me, it seems like we're celebrating all of this like Medicaid reimbursement. I'm like, do you know how many people are Medicaid that need
Exactly.
a doula that can't afford one? And that's
Exactly.
where I like, it's like you want to celebrate these wins, but be careful not to like check the box like we're done. And
Exactly.
doulas for
Still a lot of work
everyone
to do.
is like, should be just like baseline. Yeah. we're stepping in the right direction, but there's so much more that has to be done, including like dismantling racism
Exactly.
somehow. But I'm really proud of you, and I want people to see you and say this is a young man who is involved in music, who loved his partner, lost his partner, and is now like at the White House once a week. I don't know. Like you, I feel like every time I see your gram, you like at the White House, not like at the White House, you like in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out
There's a
there. I'm out
difference.
there every other week. That's my second home right now,
Yeah,
DC.
I know.
Hmm.
I know. Tell me about that experience, right? I lobbied for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't sure like how I was going to feel about it. And I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, and more so in the Republican offices because I felt that challenge, right? Like I was like, I'm gonna get them to listen to me and make a difference, right? And that's what we need. It has to be bipartisan. So like,
Hmm.
how have you felt about navigating this policy leg, this government affairs that role that you've really been thrust into?
Ooh, it's crazy because I've been talking to a lot of friends about this as of lately, especially because I come from the hood. Like I lived in the projects in my younger years, and just like going through all of that nonsense and growing up in that into where I'm at now has just been so surreal. So being able to, move in these places and being able to understand the lingo and understand the issues and being able to be in a position to where I can um, offer help and offer ideas and has just been amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
just really having these people, sit down face to face and just, being real with them, not sugarcoating
Uh-huh.
anything, has just been, amazing. And just, seeing how receptive these people are to the ideas and, the story and what I've gone through and, the things that we're trying to see changed has been amazing. I'm starting to see a lot more people, especially people of color, who are really starting to work on these issues, address these issues. Seeing men of color address these issues has been amazing. Or even being in spaces where, these white men are understanding of the issue and
Yeah.
want to be a part of the change also. Really putting a
Yeah.
face to the story and the people that
Humanizing
we
it. Yep.
represent, humanizing the people that we represent, and just having people be receptive to it has been amazing. I'm very hopeful. It leads me to be hopeful because, I feel like the world is changing fast and we're changing and we're elevating as a populace. And to, see more people of color step up for each other, um, has just been, it's very inspiring and very moving. But yeah, I'm starting to see it affect more policy. These discussions are being had more in the room, and maternal health and
Mm-hmm.
black and brown fatherhood and motherhood. Just seeing these discussions being had more and seeing that people actually want to do something about it. Just
Yeah.
motivates me to keep going, and just it's very inspiring to see.
Well, I just want to like highlight that although you may have grown up in a hood, you are not the hood. And so
Hmm.
I think what anybody that listens to this, like where it's all a state of mind. Like what we all were born into a family or a certain environment, but like our
Hmm.
capacity is endless. And to not digest or say I'm just right.
Hmm.
I just grew up here. I'm only this. Like you're in and out of the White House every other week. Now the circumstances that brought you there are awful. Um, and you're chosen, you know what I mean? And anybody can do anything. And I think too, because even I had a minute like, I ain't one of y'all. Because they speak like a whole nother language. And I'm like, so hold on. You and all these
Hmm.
acronyms, I'm not one of you. I don't know. I do not know this alphabet. Okay. You're going to have to say the word or the three words.
Hmm.
It's like, but you get, it gets quick. I mean, the fact that you're a musician probably helps you. You're like, oh, it's like things rhyme. time, and I just be using my context clues. Like that's probably the Department of
hmm
what are we
hmm
talking about?
Such and
Oh,
such. Yeah,
got it. Okay, yeah, exactly.
that's what I use. I use
Um,
context
but
clues. I use a lot of context
yeah,
clues.
context. Yeah. And rappers use like analogies and metaphors and context
hmm
clues all the time.
hmm
But no, I do want to highlight that because even I like a little afraid of government. Like it's not a tangible thing. And I think it's intentionally intangible, right? So that the few old boys club members can keep it that way. But we figured it out and we got in, you know? So,
Exactly.
to anyone who listens, like even from my own kind of like nervousness about government, I want to encourage people and you to share that like it is possible to convene and like create change and policy and all of that. I
hmm
think it's like a multi-prong approach to change,
It
but
is.
I am proud of you, and I have to say every time I see you in the White House, no matter how I feel about that place at times, I'm like, hey boy, you better go back
That's
to
a,
the White
hey, that's how I'll be feeling too. I'll be like when I look around at certain things, I'm like, nah, this is our stuff. We own it. This is ours. This is us.
Like
And starting to
Michelle Obama mentioned, we built
hmm
it.
we built it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's our house.
Yeah, we built it. Yeah,
hmm
exactly.
hmm
And that I think is my broader point. I feel like I could have been more eloquent about that. Is like just as a people, like remember who the fuck we are. Like
Who we are.
and
That's right.
things were built, yeah, to make us forget that we were plucked from the most abundant and beautiful and resourced continent in the universe. And
hmm
so like our mind has to be reconnected to history and our capability and possibilities. And I think what your story is to me is that as low as you may still feel and as hurt and broken and angry and even lost, I'm sure at times, you have a vision and a goal and you are making massive strides to that and making this world a better place as a result of your trauma and your pain. And I just want to honor you. Because I know it's not always easy, but I see you and I thank you on behalf of myself and just to humanity, to be frank. Like it's not just a black thing. Like maternal
hmm
health is trash,
Oh, it is.
period, right?
It is.
So
For sure is.
so yeah. Yeah. In closing, is there like anything else you want us to know or to like how do we follow you, support you, all those good things?
Oh, definitely, definitely. But I think of what I often tell people is that we have to realize and understand that we are the Aboriginal people, and just how much power lies within that and within us. Once we motivate ourselves and put our mind to something and really stick to that, and stick to our gut feeling
Yep.
every time, and just keep moving that needle forward and don't allow yourself to be stagnant. You can do anything. Possibilities are endless for us. We're as much as we gone through as a people and what we continue to
Yeah.
do, and we just continue to rise from the dirt and do these amazing things. Let that be the power to motivate anybody who's going through something or who just looking to create or just find that motivation to find something to do and just keep going with that. Um,
Yeah.
and but oh, you can find me at Bismack the Third on Instagram. You can find us at Saber Rose Foundation on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And also make sure that you check out our page at www.saverosefoundation.org. We have constant updates on our page as well. You can donate there, or you can just find out what we're up to or how you can support us, and also how you can volunteer for projects that we may have coming up. So please reach out to us.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And I definitely want to highlight like everybody that's in the Bronx, like Bruce and Mila are your people. Um, and the womb bus. So, community is everything. And I often sometimes life can feel lonely, but we are in this together.
Right.
And I thank you for your time and your space and your hard work. Give Elias lots of kisses for me. We have to have a play date with the boys so they can like
For sure. Let me
tear some
know.
stuff up together.
Let me know,
Yeah,
cause I'll
anytime
be
you can come to the backyard.
anything he can do
I
to
have
wear
my
himself out.
eyes. I got two boys, so I understand. I'm like, Lord have mercy, Jesus. Dude, Baldwin just at like 8, he winds up. He's like, oh, it's about bedtime. Let's get it. I'm like, he's literally will run. He's like, oh, hold on, and start like running down the hallway. Agua. I'm having like agua. I hungry. Applesauce. I'm like, you crushed. He like crushed 3 applesauces. I'm like, what is happening? Like,
Hey, trying to get
and
right
he's
before bedtime.
yeah, and then like I remember everybody had all this advice. Once he gave us free from the crib, he was like, "It's on and popping." He used to go to bed at 8 o'clock every night. Now it's like 10 or 11, and it's not even worth fighting him. But he's gonna be an
Hmm.
angry little cranky sucker in the morning. But I'm like, whatever. You didn't want to go to bed till 11. We kicking it. We having mommy son time. It's cool. But don't be giving me no grief at 7 when you don't really want to get up. You Oscar
Exactly.
the Grouch because you turned up till 11 running routes in my house. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, that's releasing.
yes, he is releasing energy. I mean, you can tell by his legs. They're the strongest 2-year-old legs I've ever seen. He
Mm-hmm.
literally, Bruce, I don't know if you saw my post, he ripped the soap dish off the wall.
Oh goodness.
He
I didn't
he
see that.
took it, he had his feet in a squat and he just kicked and it like ripped the shit off the wall and he's so proud of it.
Goodness gracious.
And I was like, Baldwin, he like, I did it. I pulled it, mommy. I pulled it. And I was like, but I have a whole ass hole in my wall now.
Yeah. Hey, that's kids. That's kids. That is kids. But
And
Elias do the same thing. He want to stay up till 10, 11 o'clock. He, he don't want to. He don't want to sleep. Nothing. He want to run around and play. But every time he think it's bedtime, it's time to play. I get that.
yeah, I also think it's their time to connect with us because we come down off of work
That's
and they
true.
get our full attention. So like,
That's very true.
I don't sweat it too much. You know, they're still little and they don't have to like do school. School wears them out, just so you know, like that helps. Like Samuel is, you know, by
Beat
8,
after
you
school.
can see he's struggling. Like at even 5 o'clock,
No,
you can see like I had a day. He
no
hurting.
school.
He hurting.
Yes, school
Uh,
used to whip my ass. I get it.
yeah, because you're learning and playing and like the whole thing. So and having to
Hmm.
sit still, I think drains their little behinds too. Like, whew. But
Exactly.
yeah. Anyways, we had a mommy daddy moment. But I adore you and I wish you all the best. And you know I'm here to support
Thank
you in
you.
anything and everything you need in any way I can. Thank you for your space and your time. And we'll connect soon. You got to come back and tell us about all these fabulous partnerships.
Oh, for sure. I got you. I got you. And I
Okay.
also want to thank
Okay.
you for all your work and your hard work and your sacrifice as well. And then, your contribution to this fight has been amazing. So thank you.
No, don't make me cry, Bruce. You know I'm a Pisces. Okay.
And
Thank
now
you.
Oakland
Thank you.
out.
Thank you. I know we try to keep her inside, okay?
Hmm.
Until absolutely necessary. We always just try to slap a smile on the Oakland
Hmm.
because
That's right.
usually, you should have heard me lobbying in there talking about slavery. I was smiling while I talked about it, though.
Do it
Oh
too.
yeah,
Every time. I'm gonna bring it up every
we
time.
gonna talk. I was like, so we gonna talk about, we talking about this little thing called slavery, okay?
Hmm.
And how you like to rape the black women.
Hmm.
Like, we
Don't
gonna
let them
talk
forget.
about it.
Don't let them forget.
We're gonna talk about it.
Hmm.
That's what we do. Because
Hmm.
all that stuff, is affecting us today. And we like to tiptoe around facts. I'm
And
like,
they
well,
trying
they're
to take
just
it out of
actual.
schools. They trying to take critical race theory out of school. No, that's what I'll be telling people all that time. They take it out to school. We still gonna teach them. Y'all not gonna like it
Oh,
when we teaching them.
I learned a long time ago. My cousin said they don't teach you the truth in school. Okay.
That's right.
So,
Because we more than
they don't
just
teach you
slaves.
about
They
no,
took us from a lot.
oh yeah. I'm not
Hmm.
trying to make Nat Turner sound like a bad person. I said,
Hmm.
I think he was just trying to be free. Being, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Would you like to
Exactly.
be walking in a chain gang, getting raped and
Exactly.
whipped? Because they
Exactly.
raped our men too. By the way, they don't want to talk about that either.
We don't talk about that.
I mean, that's a whole like the history of Jamaica and breaking our men, and I mean, there's
Generational
so
trauma.
much that is not
Hmm.
addressed. Oh yeah, yeah. But when I turn around and say you guys are the rapists, I'm like,
That
I
stigma.
don't,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
don't think that's how it really went down. But all right, your
Exactly. They
version of the
forget.
truth.
They forget.
But yeah, we gonna keep on keeping on, and luckily we do have many allies. And I think in closing, it's good to know that even if there are people across the aisle, that was my most beautiful connection was with a
Mm.
50-year-old white man from Kentucky that used to work under Mitch McConnell. And when I explained to him the Black maternal health crisis as just like a whole real Black woman talking to another human, he heard me and he saw me and he learned a lot and had to undo. You could see all the ideas of what he thought we were, this was like, oh, those are all wrong. And he
Hmm.
knew I was telling him the truth. And I know that man was forever changed. And so was I to say, there was this white man across from me. We couldn't be more different, but we're human beings. And that if we just come to each other and talk as humans, as moms and dads, right?
Mm.
That we can hear each other and make a difference.
Exactly.
That was inspiring to me. And with maternal health, like it doesn't have to do with money. So I feel like as far as like, Republicans securing the bag, which is their main goal, which ain't about, I mean, everybody deserves the bag and to secure it, but we like morality too.
Hmm.
Um, is that with maternal health, they were like, yeah, it makes sense to keep a mom alive and you do save money having midwives and doulas. So we
That's
can
the
have a
problem.
conversation about this
Exactly.
because, yeah, saving Black lives keeps you in the black. So let's do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. And we
It's
have a lot of
expensive
allies.
to,
I have allies that have risked losing their jobs, over advocating for
yeah,
Black women. So we do have to remember that we do have allies in this that are really trying to help us and really the career is on the line for us. So big ups
yeah.
to them
I
and
think
also
that's like
their
a
shoulder.
beautiful, yeah. I think that's a beautiful place to end because this work is heavy.
Mhm.
And the only way I think you and I can stay in this work on the daily is to have hope, but there is movement. And
Exactly.
so, but we need full investment and commitment from everybody, cross sector, cross the aisle to make it do what it do. So,
Exactly.
all right. I'm gonna let you go. I realize I got kids. I'm like, I might have to go pick up some kids soon.
No, that's right.
But let's offline. Let's get this play date together so they
Oh, for
can burn
sure.
some fuel.
For
Okay,
sure. For
boo.
sure. Peace. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.